Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm really excited to finally talk about something that I'm super passionate about and something that I've been wanting to talk about on my channel for a really long time now. I've kind of talked about it a little here and there in some of my chit chats and stuff like that, but I've never really dedicated an entire video to it. So today's the day. So, as you can probably tell by the title of this video, I want to talk about mental health today. I just kind of generally want to talk about my experience with mental health and the stigma behind it and how society views mental health in this day and age and stuff like that. So I have actually written down notes for once because you guys know that I always ramble if I don't write down notes. So I am going to just like kind of try to keep on track with the main points, and I will go on and on about mental health more on my channel, but this is actually the first time that I've really sat down and spoken about it. So I've had my channel for about a year now, I want to say, which is kind of crazy, but because it seems like I've had it forever, but also not that long. It's weird. But so many times I've actually gone to make this video, to sit down and film this video, and I always would stop myself and I would always say, okay, I'm just going to do it when I'm ready, when I'm comfortable. I'm not going to do it now. I'll wait. And I just kept putting it off, really. And I would like kind of say to myself, like, when I'm comfortable with my own mental health and such, I'll talk about it then, and when everything's really great with my own mental health, I will finally feel comfortable to talk about it. But recently, I was at the Teen Book Summit and something really came over me, and I was just kind of thinking, like, you know, I was so inspired by all these different women living their best lives and living their truth and all these different things. And I just kind of thought, wow, like, if I'm not owning my truth, then I'm going against everything that I stand for, really, and the entire reason I even created this channel in the first place, which is to connect with others and help others through my experiences. And mental health is like played a large role in my life, and I think that not owning up to my truth and just kind of like putting it off and waiting until everything's perfect to kind of like discuss it would be doing myself a disservice, as well as doing everyone who, you know, watches my videos a disservice, because that was my goal in creating this channel, was to help others, and also to kind of like open up a discussion with other people about things that I'm passionate about and things that are important to me. So yeah, anyway, I finally got around to it. I'm like, you know what, you just gotta do it, because nothing's ever gonna be perfect. There's no perfect time. There's no extremely comfortable time. Like, you just gotta do it. And I think with this mental health thing, you know, one of the main things that prohibited me from really just speaking openly about it all the time is the stigma in the society about mental health. And it's so crazy because I always was hyper aware of the stigma, and I really would always fight against it. And I would tell people, you shouldn't be ashamed to see a therapist, you shouldn't be ashamed if you struggle with like anxiety or depression or even super intense mental illnesses. Whatever it is that you deal with, it's okay to experience that and to deal with it, and you shouldn't have to feel ashamed. And I think like in our society, it's like still, which is so funny because it's like crazy that in this day and age people still have like a stigma against mental illness. But anyway, there is one, and you know, that's the society and the world we live in. And I think when I was wanting to create these types of videos, I did hold back, and I think subconsciously that was a part of it. And if I'm really honest, I think also because I know I have this YouTube channel that my coworkers watch, and I mean, I'm sure they don't like watch it every single day and stuff, but I know they're aware of it and they've seen it. And I guess I was also kind of a little bit worried that if I spoke about my own mental health, that I might be kind of judged, and especially in the workplace, I was a little nervous that like it would have an effect on how others viewed my performance. And now I'm just like, you know what, if that's how it is, then that's a shame, because everyone struggles with different things in their life, and mental health is like one of the main issues in our society right now because of the stigma, and people don't feel comfortable dealing with it and don't feel comfortable getting help, and then that's when a larger problem starts. So yeah, anyway, as you can tell, I could go on about this forever, but I really just want to start off by really speaking about my personal experience. So I would say that I've been struggling with mental health my entire life, which is so crazy because if you asked me this like 7 years ago, I'd be like, no, I don't like have any mental health issues or whatever. But yeah, now I actually went to school for psychology, so I studied psych for 4 years, and it was a research-based program, so it was really intensive in terms of the scientific aspects, and I learned a lot about like different mental health problems and how the brain works and why these things happen and such. So I think it was like my junior year when I sat in one of my psychology classes. It might have been my abnormal psychology class, I'm not certain, but I just remember like zoning out, and I was just like listening to the professor, and he was talking about different symptoms for different disorders, and I just remember like reading the symptoms and just being like, wow, I feel like a lot of these symptoms are like things that I experience. And it was like really crazy, because then I just felt like, oh my gosh, like might I have like some kind of mental health issue? And I was like, wow, this all makes so much more sense of everything I've been dealing with for my entire life. So anyway, I have a therapist, and I always have had a therapist for like as long as I can basically remember. So I talked to my therapist about it, and he, in that moment when I talked to him about it, he diagnosed me with depression at that moment. So that was like, I want to say 4 years ago, maybe. I can't be certain, but I know that I was a junior in college. And yeah, so that was like pretty eye-opening. And at that time, I was really going through it. Like, I didn't want to like hang out with my friends. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't really care about my schoolwork. Like, I cared, but I just felt like I didn't have the will to like do it. And I spent a lot of days in bed, and like I had 3 roommates that were all my best friends, and I would hear them sometimes outside, like hanging out in our like common room, and I just really I would like pretend I was sleeping, so I just didn't have to go out and interact with them. And it was that bad. Like, I was just in bed all the time, and it was a tough time. At that point, Tom and I had taken a break, I think, or something like that, and he said, and my therapist said, like, oh, you're like grieving. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. He's like, it's a loss, even though it's not like, you know, what we consider it's not like a death or something like that. You still have lost some part of someone in your life in some way or another. So anyway, that was the big like jumping off point to me kind of digging in deeper to my mental health. So yeah, then after a while, I like got a lot better. I got out of my depression, and just to be clear, it was a depressive episode. I wasn't clinically depressed or diagnosed with like a depressive disorder. It was just a depressive episode, which is different because that means it's a period of time typically. And so anyway, after that, I kind of worked with my therapist to like get through that time, and I eventually got out of it with a lot of like, you know, work. So yeah, let's fast forward to after graduating college, which is a big trigger in anyone's life. It's like a large life change. So where I went to school, it was state school, SUNY Purchase, and it was a really small school, so I think we only had like 2,000 students or something throughout the whole school. And me and all my friends, we went through all 4 years together. Like, some of my friends, not all of them, but we all lived together, and then all the like guys lived together in one suite, and all the girls lived together in another suite. And it was just like a big party every single day. And I think when I graduated, I was like really afraid of losing that, and I was really scared of being lonely. And Tom and I were like, we never had gotten back together officially after the break, but we were like together. We just weren't official. Like, we didn't tell everybody in terms of our families and stuff. But so it was like a really weird place, and he had to go back to Long Island, and I was going back to Albany. So really, I did anything that I could to kind of stay in the New York City area or the like Long Island area, because I wanted to be near him, and I wanted to be near all of our friends, and most of them lived in that area. So I searched for nanny job, because I knew that was a field that I could get a job in really quickly and easily with my degree, and I also knew it was lucrative. So I did that, and I nannied for about 6 months with 2 different families, which was just an experience, to say the least. I was a live-in nanny, so it was just wow. But yeah, so I did that, and then I wasn't feeling fulfilled, so I decided I wanted to kind of get into a different setting, maybe more professional setting. And so I went back home for, I think, like maybe a few weeks actually, and I was really, really like low. I was like so low. I didn't know what to do with my life. I felt like I had nothing to do. I felt like everything was so overwhelming, and then being home, and like it was just so much. So essentially I had like an anxiety attack, a major anxiety attack, and I just freaked out, and I was just so sad, and I just felt so like lost, I guess. So then at that point I went to see a psychiatrist, and the difference is, if you didn't know, a psychiatrist prescribes medicine. They're an actual doctor, whereas a therapist is just licensed in therapy and is not allowed to prescribe medication. So I went to a psychiatrist, and that was my first time going to a psychiatrist, not a therapist, and she basically told me that after like a lot of like digging into like my symptoms and what's going on in my life and how I was feeling, she figured out that I had ADHD and anxiety, which is not, if you know anything about like mental health, it's not the best combination because anything you would use to treat ADHD is a stimulant, and anything that you use to treat anxiety is a depressant. So they basically they conflict, and yeah, so that was like really weird. But basically I tried a few different medications, and essentially what ended up happening was that I ended up moving to Jersey City to live with my aunt for a bit, and because I really wanted to get a job, like a consistent job, and I wanted to live in the city and do that whole city life kind of thing. And so then I moved in with her, and I searched for jobs for 3 months, and every single day for like literally 3 months. And then I got a job and what have you. So ever since then, which I want to say was about 2 years ago now, I've been seeing a therapist consistently and a psychiatrist as well. And I've been taking some low-dose medications to kind of help me. And I think really honestly, it was a really great decision. When I first was recommended to take medication, I was so scared and I was so upset. I didn't want to do it because I just felt like, I don't know, there's, you know, like I said, the stigma, there's such a stigma against it, and I was like afraid of like what it would do to me and all these different things, and I just kind of wanted to handle things on my own. But the point where I was at with how overwhelming my anxiety was, and then on top of it, my ADHD, I could not focus at work, and I could not focus on really anything in life. And then also on top of it, I had all these different stressful life events going on, moving out, moving back in, moving to different cities, different jobs, all these different things. It was like a storm, a perfect storm. And so the medicines really did help me. And granted, I did have to go through a few different medicines to find ones that made sense. And that worked best for my body. But now I am on some medications that actually help me and keep me basically just like a level of calm, and it eases like any paranoid thoughts I have and stuff like that. So I'm in a really great place with my mental health right now, but that doesn't mean it doesn't get hard. Like whenever something happens, like obviously it's breakup and stuff, I still feel everything. I still have these crazy emotions, and not crazy, just like normal emotions that people would have, but it is more manageable now with taking medicine and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's like my story. I know I'm super long-winded. I went off because I went off of script because I really wanted to be real and honest with my experience, but I guess the main point of this video is to just show people that it's okay to get help for your mental health, or if you're struggling with something and you're not sure what it is, or you're like, you know, you're just going through a tough time. I think the best thing you can do is to seek out help. And if you're afraid, which I know a lot of people are, you know, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to your family, you can look up resources online, you can get a lot of free resources, you can call like hotlines to speak to people. And yeah, I guess I just want people to know that they're not alone, essentially. It's so funny because I'm 24 years old and I didn't figure out that I had any mental health issues until I was 21. And so it's kind of crazy because these things, it wasn't just like it popped up in my life now. I was dealing with this all through my entire life, and I didn't realize it, and I didn't know it. I always just thought I was like weird or like an anomaly or like misunderstood, and then I realized that I was just honestly dealing, that my whole entire life I had been dealing, since I was a kid, I've been dealing with struggling with mental health. And for me, I think the jumping off point of my mental health was when I was a child. When I was 8 years old, my great-grandmother passed away, and that was the first person who ever had passed away in my life, and I took it really hard because she was really, like, I was really close to her. She was just basically like my third mom. Like, I had my mom, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, and they all were just like my moms, essentially. They all just loved me and cared for me, and I had really close relationships with them. So basically when she passed away, it was just the hardest thing in the world for me to process, and then I started getting really super freaked out about death. And so that was really where all my anxiety started with death. They always revolved around death since I was young, and yeah, so basically I've had a whole entire journey with mental health. It's been crazy, a lot of ups and downs, and I feel really blessed to be in a good place right now where I feel comfortable and where I feel like I can successfully navigate my life and enjoy my life and be happy and not be overwhelmed by every single thing that ever happens, and not be anxious all the time, and not be unable to socialize with other people and be fearful and like all these different things. I just feel like I'm in a really stable place and I'm really happy. Even though life is tough and there are tough things that I'm still going through, I feel really grateful to be able to have like a sense of calm and comfort in me. So yeah, anyway, that's my story. I know it's back and forth, whatever. I'm just kind of word vomiting here, but I will get into more detail in later videos about my experience, and I can go more in depth about how I conquered, I guess, or like kind of accepted and dealt with my fear of death and my social anxiety that I still deal with, and my stressful life events and all that sort of stuff. I really would like to go more in depth with that because I know a lot of people probably have similar experiences or what have you. So yeah, so that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this made sense and helped someone or made somebody feel less alone, because I really have felt a lot of loneliness dealing with my mental health journey throughout my life. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching.